Hello and welcome to West Belfast Partnership Board Easter School. My name is Katrina Donegy and today I'm going to take you through the GCSE English Language Unit 4. First of all, we're going to look at Section A. Section A is a choice question between a personal writing piece or a creative writing piece. In this task, we are allocated up to 88 marks and we will spend approximately 55 minutes on this task. Up to 58 marks are available for an organised piece of personal or creative writing that matches the form with purpose to engage the specified audience. There are up to 30 marks available for the use of a range of sentence structures and accuracy in spelling, punctuation and grammar. Then we have task 2 in section B. There are 32 marks for this and we spend approximately 26 minutes on this task. Tasks 3 and 4 are both worth 15 marks and we spend approximately 12 minutes on each task. So let's look at section A. Personal writing first of all. We would spend about 55 minutes of the hour and 45 minute total for this paper. And 55 minutes of that would be dedicated solely to section A. You're provided with a specific topic that you're expected to write on. Please remember, if you choose the personal writing topic, you must make sure that your answer is personal and realistic. Yes, be exaggerative. Yes, exaggerate the truth. Bring in your dramatic language. Make it as realistic as you possibly can. That is the key. And always write in first person narrative. Your writing should also be aimed at a specific audience that you will need to engage throughout your piece of writing. Some example questions here. Write an article for your school magazine about a meaningful gift you have given or received. Write an article for your school magazine about things that make you happy. Write an essay for the examiner about a time when you did something you felt was really worthwhile. Write an essay for the examiner about a sport or pastime that you enjoy. Write about your favourite Saturday. These are just some examples of questions from past papers on personal writing. So here is our checklist for success. How to successfully answer this question. Well, we spend about 15 minutes planning our answer first of all. We use a range of different sentence lengths, structures and openings. We have an engaging opening line, that's our hook at the first paragraph. We use connectives, so making sure that we connect our paragraphs between sentences. We use a wide variety of linguistic or language techniques to enhance our writing. Think of your I am a forest creep. We have a coherent and logical structure to your writing. We use a broad range of descriptive and emotive vocabulary. That could be our superlatives, our hyperbole, our sensory language. We have an effective concluding line or paragraph at the end. We use punctuation to enhance meaning. Remember to vary your punctuation as much as you possibly can. And use our SVLP, which are spellings, vocabulary, language devices and punctuation. Introductions. Remember our hook. Our introduction hooks our reader's attention. And then it's up to us to sustain that. So a hook could be an anecdote or a scenario, a quotation. It could be an interesting fact or statistic. It could be a question or a rhetorical question or a short statement. We could use a list of 3 or a triplet, then a colon to introduce a statement, for example, about those terms. These are just some suggestions on how we could hook our reader in to make our first opening paragraph as effective as possible. So here is an example. Write an article for your school magazine entitled My Favourite Song. Here is an example response from a past pupil. My favourite song is Mr. Brightside by The Killers. I like this song because it is catchy and gets stuck in your head. I was travelling with my family to Donegal when I first heard Mr. Brightside and within seconds I was hooked. I knew it was a song I'd never tire of hearing. Now this answer is quite a basic answer. Yes, we have the use of a semicolon. Yes, we have that imagery there of the song being stuck in your head. Yes, they have attempted to answer that question. However, it's very informative, it's very drab, and it's straightforward. There's no excitement, there's no drama, there's no exaggeration. So here's a redrafted introduction based on that response. Have you ever found yourself falling in love with a song you just can't get enough of? You know, the sort of song that even hours after you've heard it, the tune still swims around inside your head. For many of us, it would be impossible to select a single favourite song of all time, but not me. When it comes to music, I have very definite tastes, and when it comes to songs, I have a firm favourite. I'm sure most of you have heard Mr. Brightside by The Killers. A few years ago, it was the song you just couldn't avoid. It was on every radio station, booming out of every car, and on every video music channel. It was everywhere. I can still vividly remember the day I was introduced to Mr. Brightside and The Killers. Of course, in that initial meeting, I had no idea how breathtakingly beautiful Mr. Flowers was, but his voice, the music, those lyrics, what can I say? It was a recipe for greatness. I was actually enduring a long, boring car journey to Donegal. We abandoned our usual radio station due to the loss of frequency, and my dad was doing a quick search of some tunes to occupy us. Suddenly, the car rang out with that catchy opening guitar riff. I was hooked. So there we have a much more engaging and much more lively and dramatic and intriguing and interesting response to that same question, using the same song as an example. So how do we engage our audience in that way? Well, we describe, we do not tell. We describe what we're seeing or how we're feeling. Allow the reader to put themselves into your shoes. Avoid saying, I felt scared. Instead, describe how you felt instantly. I could feel an eruption of goosebumps break out all over my body. A clammy sweat gathered in the hollow of my back, and I found it hard to swallow. This sentence easily describes the fear that you were feeling at that time, but it does not say, I felt scared. It describes that feeling. Slow the action down and zoom in. Use lots of language devices, adjectives, and sensory language. Balance action with reaction. Your thought and feeling should be evident the entire way throughout. And use impressive vocabulary. So this is an example. Describe these emotions. The first emotion you're going to describe is terrified. My hands quaked as beads of sweat emerged on my upper lip. A dizzy sensation overcame me as I slowed my breathing in an attempt to calm myself. Releasing a sigh, I looked downwards, unwilling to gain the attention of those around me. This clearly describes the feeling of being terrified. And down the left-hand side here, we have some other emotions that I would like you to start to think about how you would describe rather than tell. For example, excited. How would you describe feeling excited? How would you describe feeling embarrassed? How would you describe furious and then relieved? Using examples like this. Structure then. How do we engage our audience through the use of structure? Well, we can use various types of structure. For example, a flashback. A flash forward, if any of you are Hollyoaks fans. Last Christmas, Hollyoaks aired an episode that was actually a flash forward in time. So we got a glimpse at Christmas time, between Christmas and New Year, of what was to come throughout the rest of this year. Unfortunately, a pandemic hit and things looked a little bit different. However, they did start last year with a flash forward, which was really quite breathtaking because it was the first time a series had ever used a flash forward like that. We have cyclical structure, which is like a circular structure where the beginning is the ending or the ending is the beginning. And we can write from different stages of our life. So we could start with a piece of writing at age 5 and it progressed to age 10 and then 15 and so on. So here's an example of a flashback. Write a speech about a time when you felt scared. It was a normal, mundane Monday morning. I had my breakfast and packed up all my stuff. My mum was repeatedly shouting at me to hurry. I listened to my music as mum drove me to school. We turned a corner. I saw a familiar face walking up the hill. Bang! I opened my eyes and there was nothing but red. Blood? I could make out an outline of someone lying on the road. Dead? I felt myself drifting away and I couldn't stop it, no matter how much I strained my eyes and screamed at myself. The echoing sound of an ambulance seemed as though it was a million miles away. Help me, please. 5 years on from that dreadful day, I find myself back here again, driving my younger brother to school and passing the same place that has haunted me every single day. The same place where everything changed. The same place where someone lost their life. So that's an example of a flashback. Now an example of a flash forward. Motorbikes still terrify me. Even now, 10 years later, they terrify me. The memories of that day are crystal clear, as though it all happened yesterday. When I close my eyes at night, it all comes flooding back to me like a wave that cannot stop. A wave that will someday drown me. Every night, and sometimes randomly throughout the day, that metallic smash, the useless screeching of brakes, the piercing screams, those screams, they all crowd my head and refuse to fade away. Yet nothing is as gut-wrenching as the burning, the smoky, stifling smell which has lingered in my nose for the past 40 years. That, I fear, will never leave me. Let me bring you back to 2011. So please use your planning time effectively. In order to do this, you will spend your 15 minutes planning out how you will structure your response. It can be done in bullet points, mind maps, flow charts, or story trees. Whatever works best for you. You are not marked on your planning, but you should take that 15 minutes to plan your response very carefully. Think about the language that you're going to use. Think about what your hook is going to look like. Think about the punctuation that you're going to bring in. So initial ideas, 1 idea per paragraph, points for development, and language or structural techniques that you want to use. So this is a planning story tree based on the title, Your Longest Minute. And here we have the introduction and the development of your ideas for your introduction. So what can happen in a minute is going to be your opener. 60 seconds, 1 minute, one tiny forgettable portion of life. And then we're developing it further. What can you achieve in a minute? It can pass as fast as light or as slow as dial-up internet. Then we're moving on to paragraph 1. What am I waiting on? Why is it so important? I needed this job as much as a human needs air. Let me take you back in time. Rejection letters, pity looks, doors slammed. Paragraph 2, we're developing further. We're reflecting on the question at this point, and maybe the interview has gone well. What is your name? Tell me about yourself, is the sort of question that you're experiencing during your interview in your longest minute. Tick, 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 all correct. Finally, you're on the right path. Paragraph 3 could be reflecting on the question, but maybe it went wrong, went bad. Crash, I'm back to reality. So I stuttered and stammered. Who couldn't answer a simple question? Then we have imagine life if things do go badly. Cold concrete streets. Life laughing at me. Failure envelops me. It suffocates, chokes and blinds me. And then our concluding paragraph, which is the outcome. Your 60 seconds of misery is over. How has it gone? 60 seconds, 1 minute, one tiny forgettable portion of life. This is circular structure or cyclical structure, where we have the repetition here from paragraph 1 in our introduction to our conclusion. A door opens, a figure appears. They know my fate. Okay, so that's the development of your longest minute essay. So personal writing essay, we are looking for hitting those higher bands in our answers, okay? We're looking to show increasingly competent development of a style that is closely aligned to the purpose of the question, and the engagement of the audience must be sustained, okay? We're looking at a proficient structuring allied to the positive use of structural and language devices to enhance the audience's engagement. And we are increasingly convincing sense of purpose and audience within the fabric of our response. And this is apparent in the conscious tailoring of suitable language or appropriate language that we have carefully selected in our answers. And then for the spelling, punctuation, grammar and sentence structure, we're looking to develop and demonstrate a variety in sentence types and structures that is controlled and, where appropriate, deliberately manipulated for effect. So that's our punctuation for effect, our varied sentence structures for effect. We're looking to demonstrate a proficient use of a range of punctuation and grammar to sustain clarity and to actively engage the audience. Remember, the whole purpose to Section A is to engage our audience, to captivate them with a hook and sustain their engagement and their interest through exaggerative language, dramatic language. An accurate spelling of most words. We do allow room for error. We do not expect you to be a walking dictionary when it comes to the exam, but we are looking for familiar words, words that at your age you should know how to spell. Okay, so think of those homophones that have been demonstrated in previous videos. Okay, the option is personal writing or creative writing. So now we're going to have a look at creative writing. So you do have the option between the two. You choose the question which you feel most comfortable with responding to. When preparing for the creative writing question, it's important to note that you will use images for prompts for your ideas. An image will be given to you in your exam paper. So along with the creative writing question, you must come up with an appropriate response based on the image with the question. Creative writing does not have to be based on real life like personal writing. You can let your imagination run completely wild and you can choose a different form of narration. It does not have to be first person. So elements to include in creative writing. Think about your character and how you will develop your character. Think about your plot and how you will develop your plot. Remember, we have our opening or our hook, we have our main body or introduction to the character, to the setting, to the story as a whole. Then we have our crisis point, and then we develop into our resolution and conclusion. Think about our vivid setting. Think about pathetic fallacy. This is the attribution of human feelings and responses to inanimate objects and animals like weeping willow. Okay, that conjures up that idea of sadness. Think about our atmosphere. Is there going to be conflict? Is there going to be tension? For an interesting creative writing piece, there should be some form of tension or conflict within your story. Then think about the climax. What is the climax going to be? That peak that you're going to hit within your story. And then the resolution. How does everything get resolved? And you can, of course, choose a cliffhanger as an alternative to a resolution. We do tend to promote an idea away from cliffhanger because it is quite difficult to achieve. And it's not simply achieved through the use of the ellipsis, your 3 dots. Don't forget your slips. Always remember your slips. So our slips are sentence structures, language devices, impressive vocabulary, punctuation, and our sensory language. These are our key reminders in this mnemonic to help us achieve a positive result from the creative writing section. Now, types of narrative. You can pick any narrative that you want. It does not have to be first person. You can, of course, select first person and tell the story from your point of view. That's not a problem. You can also select third person, where the narrator is all seen everywhere. And they tell the story from an unbiased point of view. You could tell it in retrospective narrative, which is looking back, something has already happened and it's happened in the past. Or the cyclical or circular structure, where you open with your ending and you end with your opening. Now, take a look at this image, okay, and think that this image may be accompanying your creative writing question. So you want to have a look at that. And then you're going to think about your question. Write your entry for a creative essay writing competition. The audience is young people. The picture previously is to be the basis for your competition entry. Provide your own title. So this is an example question that you may get to accompany that image. So, creative essay writing competition. Creative means to think outside the box, to expand your knowledge as best you can. Make it as imaginative and creative, innovative, new as possible. And of course it must be gripping. So you want to include your dramatic language in there. Do not forget to give a title at the beginning of your response. This will provide the all-important first impression for the examiner. Adapt your storyline and language to ensure that it will interest young people. Remember, the audience is young people. Perhaps include young characters or use teen language. Do not ever use slang in any of your answers on the exam papers. Planning is key. So I'm going to think of my title, the 5-year plan. Left Behind or Settling of Scores. One of these three are going to be my title. I haven't decided which yet. These are just my ideas, my planning. Type of narrative? Well, I think I'm going to go with the circular structure, the cyclical structure. I'm going to write in first person. It's going to be presented in past tense until the final paragraph, where I'm going to change up the tense and bring it into the present tense. My introductory paragraph is going to start 6 a.m. shift starts again. Or report plane maintenance. I'm a man of routine. Then we're going to develop that by explaining our routine, giving an insight into setting of house, a little glimpse of thoughts, what's going through my mind at this time, building up that rapport with your audience, okay? Language devices I want to include. Rise, wash and eat, rise, wash and eat. That repetitive language there. That this is a man of routine, remember. So routine means to be repetitive, to repeat those structures that we have built up within our daily lives. Bare grey walls, not very exciting, no colour there. The silence is deafening, which is an oxymoron. I would like to use that. Our second paragraph, the development then. This man watches families board other aircrafts and reminisces about his own lost family, building up that rapport with the audience with that anecdote. And that intrigue, what's happened to his family? Where are they? Want to include sensory language of sounds. This man talks through his own family's laughs and physical appearance. And he establishes rapport by saying what he misses about them. My daughter's loud laugh lights up the room, so there's a bit of alliteration I want to include. David has that mischievous sparkle in his eye, alluding to some form of intrigue on David. Who is David? What is that mischievous sparkle that he has in his eye? What's he up to? My wife's soft, silky chestnut hair, again building up that rapport. This is a lady who is much loved because he speaks very fondly of her. The third paragraph is going to be where we start to climax within our story. There's a sudden burst of anger. There's a year-long plan that will be carried out today on their anniversary. Who's they? Who is the anniversary? Is it the family that he reminisces about? Is it their anniversary? Are they dead? Short sentences will show what has been planned. We want to discuss the motivation. How many years have now passed since the death of his loved ones? The language that we want to use, I want to bring in a triplet: death, grief, isolation. Their excuse: a mistake, not possible. Day after day, night after night, I have planned, revised and perfected. So again, this elusive language is very intriguing, building up that desire from the reader to want to continue to read on and find out what this story is about. So the fourth paragraph is routine checks are carried out. He loosens engine parts. They'll be able to find out it was him, but he doesn't care. We want to talk through what he does bit by bit as the paragraph develops. Single sentence paragraphs to interrupt the actions. He's going to be with his family soon. Language again. I know this plane, I know these parts, I have the power. Twist, bolts, remove. My daughter's laughter. Cut, spill, my son's eyes. Tamper, reprogram, my wife's hair. So we're picking up the pace now in this paragraph through the use of punctuation. We have ellipsis there. We have the commas breaking up those sentences. These are very short and impacting sentences demonstrating the excitement that build up to the climax. By the 5th paragraph, we're going to look at a flashback to his family holiday with this exact airline. And then we're going to think about how he loses his wife and 3 kids. He's going to talk about the feeling of joy and excitement that build up to the holiday. He had shouted at his son for messing about in the airport, as kids do. And then he held his dying wife in the wreckage of the airplane. My daughter's voice forever silenced. My wife's chestnut hair now soaked in scarlet red. My son's eyes still and staring are the language that I want to include in that paragraph as we really hit this climax. The 6th paragraph then, as the plane takes off, he imagines the possible outcomes and headlines. There's instant regret. Another family possibly torn apart, a pilot riddled with guilt, the blame, and it will solely be his fault. So now we have this regret and this want of backtrack, possibly. Why did I want another family to feel my pain? What have I done to their memory? This is all me this time. This is my fault. This is what I have become. So we have really hit that climax here, and now we're going on to the resolution. So the final gripping, conclusive point. He wakes up from a dream. He still has no wife and no kids. He feels nothing but crippling pain. He heads to work on their anniversary. Then we describe the setting, similar to the beginning, only a little bit grimmer. This is our circular structure, our cyclical structure, harking back to the beginning. Dream floods through his mind, but his eyes are fixed and his mind is made up. So the final conclusion will be, he rises, he washes, he eats. Remember that repetitive opening paragraph. He looks at the bare grey walls with a single family photo on the wall, harking back to that first paragraph. And then relief washes over me like a wave. Revenge will be mine. And that will be the concluding line then. Revenge will be mine, with the use of ellipsis, leaving that open to interpretation, that cliffhanger then at the end of that story. So have a look at this image and think about your response to a potential creative writing question. Think about, where is this beach? What time of the year is it? Are there any people there? Who are they? Where are they? Why are they there? Are you there? And what are you doing? And this image, where is this cabin? Whose cabin is pictured? What is the story of the cabin? Are there any people there? Are you there? Where are they? What are you doing? So, some ideas: family winter getaway, someone who leads a life of solitude, skiing holiday gone wrong, hunter who spends his day stalking his prey. So think about how you could respond to either one of those potential questions using those images. Okay, I hope that has been of use, and I will go on to section B in the next video. Thank you.